The next project is actually quite a unique project, mainly because of where it was situated. So initially when I went to site, the site is massive. It's probably in the region of about 5 hectares in size. It actually flows down to a river which is right at the bottom of the site, and then we have distant views across the site. So we wanted to create a feeling that the house is spread out over the site. We've got such a massive site, so we have no constraint as far as the property is concerned. So we don't need to make the home small or condensed. So what we actually did is we took the design and literally pulled it apart so that it flows, so that actually the outside even comes into the house more. And then by doing that, you're actually exposing more of the house to the view. So that's what we set out to achieve. When we were walking around on the site, because you've got such a big site, it sometimes becomes difficult to position the home because there's nothing that ties the home to any particular point on the site. So we were actually looking at, because this is a big site, I wanted to create like a progression to the home. So you actually follow this route and path, and we actually carved it between the trees. So we actually have this meandering roadway actually going up to this house, which is kind of spread out on the site, so that when you get there, you get that really feeling of that openness and feeling of nature. And what we did actually is we started emphasizing the horizontality of the banding in the home to further emphasize that, actually spreading it out on the plane like that. So we've got these horizontal planes, we've got the house that's spread out horizontally, we've got the nature which we're pulling into the house, we're opening the house out for the views. So I think we actually did quite a successful design here. When you take a home and you, let's say, you pull it apart in order for us to open it up, we have introduced atriums and water features into the home in order to emphasize that. What it actually does is it automatically lengthens your circulation routes, because you are you're pulling the home apart. So what we then do is when we pull that section, we introduce a feature into that section. So when you're walking in and you're walking in on the atrium, you don't feel like, okay, I'm walking in on a passage or a lobby. You're walking in onto that feature space, and that feature space opens up to the space that is beyond that. So you've got views across that section. So nobody feels like it's a waste of space, because it's a feature space, So it's little things like that we do, so that you don't get the feeling like it's a home connected by passages. What makes this project unique is the way that we've pulled it apart, because we don't get that opportunity to do that on every residence, because the residents are generally constrained by the site, which is generally quite small, and then you've got building lines within that, and then you've got height restrictions on top of that. So the restrictions pile, and it complicates your design process, where here we kind of had free reign, we had an open site, we had beautiful views that we wanted to look at, and then we could literally just say, okay, what is it that we want to do here? What's going to make this place great? What's going to make it different? And that's exactly what we tried to do. So what we actually did is we designed the home in almost like a cross configuration. So it's got these longer legs that actually extend into the landscape. The one section is the garages that extend into the one direction. The other section is the bedrooms that extend in the other direction. The other section is the lounge and your entertainment areas that extend in the other direction. So kind of, and then on the other side, we've got the kitchen that extends out in the breakfast area. So it kind of almost completes the cross, if you want, in the design. But what we were trying to achieve is then pulled together by this horizontality, the spreading out of the house, the progression that we are trying to do, and then also the route. And also, because this home is not on an estate, generally your privacy to your staircases and your entrance halls and stuff like that become very difficult, because people are walking past the outside of your home, people are driving past the outside of your home on an estate, and your privacy gets sacrificed by these factors. And in this case, what we actually did is we did this beautiful staircase that sits right on the front. So as you arrive, the staircase goes up on almost like it's on the outside of the house. It is so visible, and you'll see it on our 3Ds, what we tried to do there. So that staircase is actually literally in a glass box, and we're emphasizing that because we don't need to worry about privacy there. If you're walking down there in your pajamas, no one will ever see you, you know. So, we're looking at things like that, stuff that we can't always do on an estate, and we bring that into a design like this. The one thing when you are designing a home that you have kind of pulled apart like that is how do you make all of the elements still feel part of the same, you know, so that we don't end up with a bedroom wing, a garage, and a entertainment area, you know, because of the way that we are trying to see this functioning and working, you know. So with the horizontality of the beams that we've introduced, we actually bridge the gaps that we've created with gardens and atriums with the beam. So the beam actually connects the two sections together. And when you look at the view from the swimming pool side, you'll see that quite clearly because we've got the bedroom wing, which effectively will be on the right-hand side of your picture. And you will see that we've done a beam, which is a 1.5 volume over the lounge that actually extends across that atrium and actually unifies the facade together. So there isn't like an out tooth in that area where we cut the house back because of the atrium. That idea also happens at the front entrance, you know, where we've pulled the house back, and in that section that we pulled it back, we've got a water feature with a waterfall that will fall down that section. And we did exactly the same with the beam. The beam actually continues continuously across that facade, so that when you look at it from the outside, it doesn't look like there's a setback there. But as you approach the house, there's a hole that's cut through the slab. The beam stands on its own. You've got the water feature in that light, in that section. You've got light coming through there, so it'll be quite spectacular. With the boma around the pool in this area here, is we based it more on a conventional design, if I could say, where the boma is more rounded in shape. So we've added that rounded shape in here, but because we were not concerned about space here, because we've got more than enough space, we actually extended that round space out so that you can fit multiple people within that space, but we're still trying to contain and maintain the same type of feature and feel that you get in there, where you're actually sitting around the fireplace, you're with your entertainment area, but just slightly sunken down to that, looking into your swimming pool there. So, you know, just trying to unite the ideas that we try and bring through in our various designs, but just in a different way, just exploring new options, new opportunities, which open up when you have got more space in order to do things. I think the feature sitting next to the swimming pool and actually looking into the depth of the swimming pool, especially at night when the lights are on, it just gives another depth of element where it's not just the fire that's there. There's an added element of a feature which is behind that, which is having that opportunity to look into the water, which is almost like a fish tank effect, but generally the lighting in there would be quite stunning. We love to use water in our designs. I think water represents peace and calm. And we always try and bring it in at the entrance, because I think at the entrance it makes a statement when you are there. You've got this nice bubbling or hissing sound of water or a waterfall, that kind of just drowns the noise of the city or the street or anything else, so that when you're approaching the house, that's the only focus that you'll have, from a hearing point of view, and that way it starts blocking out the rest of the world as you approach the house, because that feature will then grab your attention because it's noisy and it's kind of in your face, but in a subtle way. Sometimes we use it as a screening element, as we've done in some of our other designs, because we're trying to maintain a level of privacy there. So sometimes putting a wall there, it's too hard, so when you come in, you don't want to stop the view completely. You want to have the view, but you want to filter that view so that you can still maintain a level of privacy behind that space. Yeah, so if you want to see what that looks like and what we've done, click on the link above here and you can see this particular project. So in this home, because we love to do something nice in the main bedrooms, what we actually did is, as you get your conventional slab, we actually take the area of the main bedroom and we cut the slab out of that section. we raise it up and we do windows that are at the top, so almost like a clear story window effect. And then we take that slab that we place over the top and we actually extend it over the windows. So first of all, the windows are actually protected by the overhang of that slab at the top. So you can filter the light, you can filter the views through there. You can control the amount of heat and cold that you get through that section just by doing that device. If you want to see somewhere where we've done that, then click this link above for the 3 atriums. And what we did there is we raised up the bathrooms so that we can eliminate the windows effectively in the walls so that we have more space for our bathroom furniture and still maintaining the light that will still come through the top. And that way it gives you privacy, but the natural light still comes through. So something that we did at the entrance is we've got this feature that obviously unites our facade together. And what we actually did is that entire section, actually it overhangs about 1 meter across the wall. So it is fully supported behind. But it actually, when you look at it, it looks like it's a cantilever of approximately 15 meters. So it almost looks like this impossible supporting element that we've created there. But in actual fact, it is fully supported just behind. Obviously, we play with window and also with solid surface. Because this home is a bit more rural, we were just toning down the detailing on that a bit. And what we did is we added some vertical wooden slats. And then that plays also with light. It plays with support because we're using that as support in some areas. And at the end of the day, you get this facade that is solid, permeated, cantilevered, and all of the different effects, also using the light and playing with the light that comes into the building, and also the way that we create shadows on the outside of the building with all of these elements. This home in particular is about 880 square meters in size. We've got 5 bedrooms, formal lounge, dining, kitchen, family room, pantry, scullery, laundry, spa room, gym, a ton of features, and obviously 4 garages with storerooms. And the construction cost of that probably in the region of between 15 and 20 million rand. If you don't want to miss us taking you through these and more, like, subscribe, and look forward to seeing you at the next one.